name is Emily, and welcome to the Goldberry Artisans podcast. This is a podcast where I talk about knitting and my other crafting adventures. So thank you so much for stopping by and watching, and thank you for all of you who have subscribed and left such encouraging comments on Instagram and right here on YouTube. So thank you so much. I haven't checked how many subscribers I have in the past week, but when we get to 100, we are going to be having a giveaway. I already have one of the items, and I hope to get one or two more, so that is exciting. Now I realized that I forgot my show notes inside on my desk, so we're gonna see how this goes. Normally, once I write things out, I can remember them, so let's hope that's the case today. I'm back outside. If you remember last time, I recorded inside, but I am super happy today because it finally feels like fall. Fall is just my favorite thing, and I know that sometimes it seems like that's everybody's favorite thing, like it's all over Instagram and Facebook and blogs and podcasts and everything, but I just love fall. Summers are great, but fall is the best. I was so excited this morning because I woke up, there's a chill in the air, I can finally wear a sweater and a scarf, and I have a hand knit hat, and I'm wearing hand knit socks. The hat is, I forget what the pattern, I think it's called Fresh Mint, I believe, by Alicia Plummer, and the yarn is from Buckaloo View Fibers. Hold on. So you can see it has sort of zigzag chevron-y type pattern made with pearl bumps, and it's this lovely, it's not quite a neutral, but it's this sort of like creamy orangey tan color, which I love. And my hand knit socks actually kind of go with it. And they've got sort of like a diamond pattern. So yeah, I'm just so excited because it's finally fall. Refocus, there we go. It's finally fall, and that means that it's definitely knitting season. Although right now I'm working on a lace weight sweater, but what I really want to be knitting is like a bulky, gigantic cabled sweater. Oh, we'll see about that. Anyway, so this week I do not have any finished objects. It actually hasn't been a full week since I recorded last. So no finished objects. I have a half-finished one. I finished my first sock. This is the Hermione's Everyday Sock pattern. And the yarn is Painted Desert in the colorway number 28. It's aqua something. So I love the texture that this creates with the colors, because it's definitely an aqua color. It reminds me of the beach. You get the sand and the blue sky and the blue water. This color transition is a bit abrupt right in here, but that's okay. I'm fine with that. The heel, I hadn't done an Eye of Partridge heel in a while, but this one, so it's an Eye of Partridge heel, but this is a free pattern, so you can go and find this for free. It's on Ravelry, but it's an Eye of Partridge heel, but there's 3 stitches on each edge that you're doing in garter stitch, which I thought was really cool. I like how that looks. It fits in really well with the overall texture of the pattern. And so that was neat. It's been a while since I did an Eye of Partridge heel. Then you get the added bonus of that cool little garter stitch edge. So that is the first sock. I tried it on, it fits great. I just finished it today. And it has a fairly, it's a more square toe than I've done before, but I think I like that better. The socks that I'm wearing right now have a more pointed toe, and it's a bit baggy around my toe area. Like I'm looking at it right now. Mostly fine, but a bit big sometimes. So I like how this one is just a bit more square, a bit smaller. The other project that I've basically been working on all week is the Flora Cardi. Now this is a pattern by Carrie, Bostick, Hoge, and it's found in Making the magazine that she was the creator and editor for. Now it's a bit hard to show. Hold on, we're gonna refocus here. Sorry about that. Because it's knit seamless in the bottom. So this is the right front, the back, and the left front. So yesterday I completed the right front, which basically the pattern you knit seamless in the bottom, and then you divide for the fronts and the backs. And so this part is going to be like this. So this is the sleeve. You don't have to knit any sleeves or anything. This is the sleeve, and then you seam it up, connect it to the back. I believe it's a 3-needle bind off maybe that connects it to the back. I'm not 100% positive. But I love it. It's going to be super drapey, just in time for winter. A nice spring sweater just in time for winter. You know, it makes sense. I cast it on this summer when I would have worn it, but it won't be done in time. But I'll have it for next year. Maybe I'll wear it this winter. But this is my first lace weight sweater, but it moves pretty fast because it's on size 5 needles. So it moves pretty quickly. There we go. And because it's a short sleeve sweater, I don't need to worry about sleeves. It's knit mainly in one piece, so not too much seaming to be done in the end. I did goof up on the stitch pattern. Hold on, let me find it. Right here. Hold on. I only knit half of one repeat right here. So instead of having a full leaf, I don't know if you can really see it, I have like a little half leaf. But I think I'm just going to do the same thing. Just do the same thing on the other side, and it'll be fine. So, and because it's a lace weight sweater, it still fits really nicely in this project bag that I have. So it all fits, still with a little bit of room. So it's a nice squishable, packable sweater. It's packable, but sometimes hard to work on because it's a bit unwieldy with all the different like fronts and the back and stuff. So like you're knitting, like I was knitting on the right front, and then it has all this attached to it on the side. But oh well. I love it. I love the color. I love green. I'm realizing this is a nice green flowy cardigan as well. Oh well. It's a good color. So those are the two projects that I've worked on. A couple other things, like a few rows here and there, but those are the two projects that I have been working on the most. And now I'm going to change my camera battery. This happens every time I go to record a podcast. It just like kills my battery. Thankfully I have more than one. So I'm going to change my battery, and then we will talk about the Great Sweater Conundrum that I presented to you last week. So in my last podcast, I was asking for some advice about a sweater I had made that had turned out smaller than I thought it would, or than I hoped that it would. It is the pattern is the Sibella cardigan by Carrie, Bostick, Hoge, and I knit it in Knit Picks palette. So if you remember from last time, my conundrum was that it was too small. The sleeves were tight, and I just didn't like how tight it was across the front, across the bust area. Just was not a fan. And so I didn't know, I still had extra yarn, should I frog parts of it or the whole thing and just make it again? Should I block it? And at that point I had only seamed one of the sleeves. So I asked for advice, and you guys were so great. So many of you reached out on Instagram and in the YouTube comments and gave me, and even on Ravelry, and gave me some advice and just helping me decide what to do. Everybody unanimously said block that sweater ASAP, I believe, was exactly what somebody said. block it ASAP, and then try it on, see how it goes. I think part of my problem with the sweater was that I tend to wear bigger sweaters, like either loose, flowy, light airy sweaters, or like big, bulky, oversized sweaters. And since this was a Carrie Bostick Hoge pattern, in my head, I was automatically thinking that this would be a loose, flowy cardigan. Just because that's her style, generally. And it didn't quite fit what I'd pictured in my head. And I normally wear my cardigans unbuttoned anyway, even when they have buttons. But I didn't want it to look like it was too small when I was wearing it, and I wanted to have the option of being able to button it. So, I blocked it this weekend. Took forever to dry because since it was a seamless sweater, it was kind of like laying on top of itself. So it took it forever to dry. Plus I had to have a towel over it to protect it from my cats, because they would have attacked it. Okay, hold on. So this is how it turned out. Hold on, let's see if we can get focus. Okay. It didn't grow tons, but the blocking definitely helped it get a little bit more of that drape. The sleeves are tight, so it takes a bit of effort to get them on, but I don't mind them being tight. What am I doing? I don't really know. Anyway, I don't really mind them being tight once they're on. I thought I had woven on all the ends. I just seamed the second sweater sleeve today. Thought I had woven them in. Apparently not. The one thing about them being tight is that you can see the seam. Like when it just lies flat by itself, you can't see that. I guess I should have pulled the yarn tighter. But again, when it was flat, you couldn't really see that. But I think that'll be okay. Refocus here. This is weird. I can't see my head. So it's still a little tight. Tighter than I normally would go for in a cardigan, but I think I just need to live with that. Live with the fact that it is more fitted, and I can wear it unbuttoned, and I think that would be fine. But after blocking, the lace detailing on the top definitely opened up, and I love that it continues over onto the sleeve portion. Yeah, I almost wish that I had made this part a little taller, because since the sleeves are so tight, it doesn't pull up super far. But overall, I am a lot happier with this. I'm a lot happier with this now that it's actually blocked. I love the color. This is the Knit Picks palette in Iris Heather. So they definitely, if you're looking for a sort of heathered colorway, I would definitely recommend it. Because this has a lot of, it's mainly purple, but it's got a lot of like pinks, reds, blues, gray, all mixed in. Just a lovely heathered yarn. So, I will now return to my chair, refocus my brain and the camera. Might as well keep this sweater on, just test it out, see how it goes for the rest of the podcast. So, this week I bought one skein of yarn. I bought Loft by Brooklyn Tweed. This is their Fossil colorway. I bought this on the Ravelry D-Stash page, which I highly recommend if you're looking for yarn. I bought a sweater quantity's worth of yarn on there one time. So you can find sweater quantities, but generally if you want like 1 or 2 skeins, you can find that. And a lot of people are selling them for less than what you could buy retail or online directly from Brooklyn Tweed. So I ended up paying, I believe, $13.50 including shipping, which is less than retail value. But you remember a few episodes ago I talked about trying to be better at buying yarn with a purpose. So I didn't just buy this yarn just because it was, sometimes I will just pick some of my favorite yarns or yarns I want to try and just browse the destash pages even if I don't have plans for it. But in this case, Melody Hoffman, I believe that's her last name, of Mandarines. She has a great podcast, but she also, she's a knitting designer. She recently released a pattern called the Treehouse hat, which is basically, I believe it's mostly stockinette, but it features like a tree detail along the sides. And so I bought this yarn specifically to make that hat. I think this is the yarn. She recommends using Loft. That's what she used in her design. I'm not sure what colorway, but it was similar, like a whitish cream color. I also want to make her Treehouse mitts, which have the same tree detailing, just on the back of the mitten. But I think it calls for a different weight. This is fingering. I think the mittens might call for sport. But I'm excited to use this yarn. I've been wanting, like, obviously everyone talks about, or it seems like everyone talks about, Brooklyn tweed and their yarns. So I've been wanting to try it out. It's 100% American wool, and the wool is grown in Wyoming, and it's actually spun in New England. I forgot to mention this earlier, but I live in Maine. I was born in Canada, have grown up in Maine my whole life, and it's actually spun at it says it's spun in an historic woolen mill in New Hampshire. So right next door to me, super local. And the yarn is made from the American Targi, forgive me, people who actually know what they're talking about when it comes to wool. American Targi Columbia sheep out in Wyoming. And its fingering weight, you get 275 yards and it's 50 grams of yarn. It's softer than some rustic wools. It still definitely has a rustic feel, but I mean, it's spun in an historic mill. It's 100% American wool. So it's really, I love it. And it's got, it has flecks in it, like, it's got some dark flecks, which I really like. I think it helps to add character, because it's not a straight, just cream color. It has a slight, I don't know if it's a heathered look, but it definitely has some, like, darker bits, slightly darker pieces. And so it is I haven't used it yet, can't talk about it a lot. To compare it to maybe like a Quince & Co yarn, it's not as tightly spun. Quince & Co is fairly tightly spun. This one, obviously, it's called Loft, and it's woolen spun, so it's loftier. Like when I don't know, I don't spin yarn, I don't pretend to understand all of how yarn is spun, but from the little I know, it's woolen spun, so that means that it has trapped more air into the yarn when it was spun, which just creates a loftier, airier yarn. So, all said and done, I am excited to use this yarn. I need to finish up a few more projects before I cast on. I'm getting like itchy fingers, like I just want to cast on new projects right now. Like last night on Ravelry, I was just browsing through different patterns, like from Brooklyn tweed, like the Stonecutter pullover. If you have not seen it, you need to go look it up. It is an absolutely gorgeous cabled sweater, and I want one. I want to make one so badly. But I was looking through some other designs similar to that with heavy cabling, and I just want to make myself just this gigantic, bulky, cabled scarf. But I need to cast off some other projects first and find somewhere to buy them. So that's my dream knitting right now, is just anything with cables. Just something big and squishy with cables. Some of the other projects that I need to cast off. I have my Flora cowl, which I haven't talked about in a couple episodes, but it's also from making. And I'm close to being done with that. I've been plugging away at it a little bit, so I really need to finish that before I cast on anything new. I'm not going to wait to finish my Flora Cardi before I cast on the hat. It's a small project, so I'll probably cast that on. I have another sweater that I'm planning on making. I am blanking on the name. It's put out in a Brooklyn Tweed Woolfolk collection, but it's mostly stockinette. It's pullover. I'm going to be knitting it in a dark brown. I talked about it when I bought the yarn. I don't remember what episode that was. And then it's just got a little bit of detailing around the yoke, not like a Fair Isle pattern or anything, but just kind of like a gradient of browns and sort of a diamond pattern around the yoke. So I have the yarn for that. So that needs to be the next sweater that I cast on, since I have the yarn. And I also have more lace yarn to cast on in another cardigan. I'm still going back and forth about what sweater I want to cast on. I don't know if I want a cardigan or a pullover, because Quince & Co. has released some really pretty like pullovers, but I want something more complicated, like with just an overall stitch pattern, because between the Flora Cardi, which is all stockinette stitch except for the bands around the edge, and the next sweater that I have on my needles, which is completely stockinette in one color until I get to the yoke. So if you have any advice, if you have a favorite lace sweater pattern. Alright, so next we're going to be talking about what's making me happy. So this week, the number one thing that is just like making me super happy is just the fact that it finally feels like fall. I'm sitting outside, there's a breeze, leaves aren't changing colors yet, but it's cool enough to actually wear a sweater. Like, I can sit here in this wool sweater and I'm not dying. The humidity today, at least, is completely gone. So just a nice, cool day. Not cold yet, like definitely not cold enough to wear bulky sweaters and sweatshirts, but definitely cooling down, which is so exciting. I had coffee today, which I don't normally, but I was craving coffee because it felt like fall, so I wanted hot coffee. I don't drink coffee a whole lot, only when I'm really tired, like super tired, and so that was not a wise decision on my part. So my brain's a little scattered. My hands were shaking earlier. It was a small cup of coffee too, it wasn't that big, but oops. The next thing on my list of what's making me happy is the Stitched in Sweden podcast with Maria. I just discovered it this week. I'd heard of it before, but I hadn't actually watched any of her episodes. She is amazing. I know a lot of you may have already heard of her, but I'm sure there are others who, like me, hadn't watched it yet. So it's Stitched in Sweden, and what I love is that she has so many different things that she dabbles in. Like, she's a knitter. I think that's she started out doing knitting podcasts, but she also sews, and she, in her most recent episode, actually had made like blueberry jam and some other canned goods that she talks about. And she did say she's going to be starting up school again, so she won't be making as much, but it's just super inspiring because she has so many different types of things that she works on. Like, she will wear things like a top that she's sewn, and I wouldn't know that it was hand sewn just by looking at it. Like, her work is beautiful. So I highly suggest, if you are interested in that, or if you just want to watch, you need another podcast to watch, I would definitely recommend Stitched in Sweden. She has a lot of episodes, so you can go back and there's a lot to watch if you really love it. The next thing on my list of what's making me happy is my Day Designer planner. I know that you can buy some directly from Day Designer that are bigger and have more stuff in them, but that also means they're more expensive. I love pretty planners. It hurts to part with $40 to $50 for a planner. I'm super happy that those people can be successful in selling those planners because they're gorgeous and they're amazing. And if you have one, I wish I could. But I just got this one from Target. It was like $10 or $12. it basically has the month. So to lay out just the month, and then it has individual weeks, and it basically has like a list of top 3 things you want to get done today, a schedule, and then a little box on here that says tonight. So if you're looking for a planner and don't want to spend too much money on it, I definitely recommend the Day Designer. And you can get them at Target for not a lot. So that's what's been making me happy this week. So let me know in the comments what has been making you happy. What are some things that you've enjoyed, whether it's a podcast, a book, TV show, an object, something you've knit, just anything this week that makes you happy. And thank you all again for all of your advice on my sweater. Thank you, thank you. If you have any recommendations for buttons, thinking either wooden or some sort of like maybe pearl, I don't really know. So if you have button recommendations or places where you get your buttons, I would love to hear them. So thank you so much for watching, for commenting, and for subscribing. I feel like a normal, like typical YouTuber when I say that. But thank you all so much. You have been so kind to me and my fledgling little podcast here. Fledgling, there we go. And I just can't express my gratitude enough, so thank you. And until I see you next time, happy knitting. Oh, hold on, I always forget to say this. You can find show notes over on my blog at goldberryartisans.com. There'll be a link to that in the description on YouTube. So you can find show notes there. You can find me on Instagram as Goldberry Artisans, and on Ravelry. I'm really bad at updating project pages on Ravelry, but if you're interested, you can add me as a friend. I'd love to add you as a friend on Ravelry. My username is emilyruthb. So thank you so much for watching, and until I see you next time, happy knitting. Bye.